You just got back from Thanksgiving break and your teacher says the most dreaded words in the English language. Let's play your scales. And you go, crap, I did not practice my scales at all. Here's the deal. Scales are super important, but the reason why they're important is probably different than you think. There are 5 really big reasons why you should practice your scales, and I'm gonna just let you know. Some of these nobody talks about, and once you learn them, you're never gonna wanna skip your scales. You're gonna just be like, hey, no matter what, I'm just gonna do scales. Actually, myself, if I have a limited time to practice, I always end up playing scales before I do anything else because of how important they are. Let's get through it. The first one you probably do know, and that is to warm up. Warming up is something that becomes increasingly important the better you are at an instrument. And the main reason why is really just to avoid frustration. If you've played an instrument for a while, you're doing things that are technically so demanding that if you try them without warming up, you're going to find yourself making more mistakes than you normally do. And it just becomes so frustrating and so problematic that it's just annoying. And so it kind of provides this mental and physical transitional period for you to get used to playing the piano. So then the first time you play the song that you're going to do or you're playing for people live, you're ready to go. Also, there is a literal warmth element to warming up. If you're in a colder environment or you just have bad circulation, you may find your fingers themselves are cold, and that is extremely hard to play the piano with. So if you play and you play scales, it's a great way to warm up your fingers specifically. Okay, let me get to number 2. This one I don't think I ever hear classical pianists talk about. But if you teach this, especially to young students, they'll always want to practice their scales, and that is for improvisation. The truth is, scales are the essence of learning language rules for practicing and improvising. The scales tell you which notes sound good together. So all you need to know to improvise well is a scale. That's it. And then your left hand just plays the notes slower, and that creates harmony. And your right hand plays the notes faster, and that creates melody. I can get into this more in a different video, but I'm telling you, improv is amazing once you know scales. And the more scales you know, the easier it is to improvise. Let's get into number 3. Number 3 is technique. Technique is hugely important, of course, to piano playing. And really all technique is how good you are at moving your fingers around the piano to play what you want to play. Because music is built so much out of scales and harmony and theory of this nature, the more you practice the scales, the more you're going to find certain passages of music are just easy because you're practicing the crossover. You're practicing certain movements and efficiency with fingering, right? Using always 3 and 4 so that you have the most amount of fingers in play with the least amount of crossovers. All these concepts transfer over very quickly to playing actual pieces. So even if you're a classical musician, you never improvise at all, it's very, very helpful to know scales. That's probably the one you know, but here's another one that you may not necessarily know, which is scales teach you theory. What do scales teach you about theory? Well, every song, for the most part, unless it's super weird, is written in a specific key. If you know that key, then you know the 7 notes that are going to be prioritized. That is going to be the scale. If you're an F major, the F major scale is the scale that goes along with that. These scales then allow you to get familiar, and then that way you're not even really guessing, and you don't have much easier time reading a piece of music. Also, this theory component can let you learn the chords more easily. It can let you predict what's next. It can help you write music. It can help you arrange music. I'm telling you, scales come in very clutch when you are trying to do anything related to music theory. The last one, and this is probably the other one that you probably not have ever heard about. Wow, that was an unclear sentence. This is the last point of why you should practice scales that you may have never encountered, but is super powerful and you'll get it right away. And that is to have shared ground with other musicians. The more musical concepts that you know in a language format, you know the words that go along with them that are familiar with many musicians, and in your fingertips, the easier it is going to be to communicate to another musician. This is true of many things, but I think scales is one of the most powerful of them. You may have never played with another musician before, but if you know, say, your D major scale, and they know it as well, and you know the chords that go along with your D major scale, guess what? You can make music together. The ability to have that shared common ground is really what creates opportunities for music to be this globally unifying phenomenon that benefits all of us so much. I'm Robert Monroe. I hope you enjoyed this video about 5 reasons to practice scales, and I hope you commit harder to actually playing those scales, because let me tell you, it really does make a difference. Until next time, have a good day and play those scales.